Another night of utter chaos in Minneapolis. And the most frustrating part, all of this was totally avoidable. If only law enforcement and ICE had been permitted to simply make the arrests that they are legally entitled to and charged with making. There was an illegal immigrant involved here, and they tried to arrest this guy. And instead of just being allowed to do it, they have been subjected, like all the ICE officers in Minneapolis, to nonstop harassment from far left wannabe warriors. It's like these fat, unattractive, gross people who were too chicken shit to actually sign up for the military and be true tough guys and gals have decided to find their courage through their rolls of lard on the streets of Minneapolis. I'm sorry, but that's what's happening. It's like nose ring central. And they're super, super tough, talking into their iPhone and then going out there and shouting in ICE's face. And then what happens when ICE actually has to arrest them is they wind up cowering in fear and crying like little babies. Like you saw the woman yesterday who was all tough talk until they actually tried to get her car out of the road. And then she said, I'm just a mom. I'm just a mom. We have more of that today. Okay, but here's what happened last night. According to the Department of Homeland Security, it all started just before 7 p.m. local when federal law enforcement conducted a targeted traffic stop of an illegal immigrant. Why was he even on the streets of Minneapolis, one might ask? One sane person might ask. Joe Biden's administration released him into the country over 3 years ago. Rather than comply with officers' demands, the suspect fled the scene and ended up crashing into a parked car. A pursuit on foot then ensued, and the officer caught up to the illegal, who then resisted arrest and violently attacked the officer. As Trump once famously said, they're not sending their best. 2 other individuals came out of a nearby apartment. They decided to join the fight. Was it on the side of the law enforcement officer making a proper arrest? No, of course not. This is Minneapolis. They decided to help the illegal immigrant attack the officer, joining in with a snow shovel and a broom handle. Now it's 3 against 1. DHS described the attack as an ambush. In the scuffle, the original suspect got a hold of the shovel and the broomstick and began beating the officer with them. The officer fired 1 defensive shot. This is what the left has asked for, hitting the initial suspect in the leg. This is what they're supposed to want. All 3 individuals who attacked the officer then fled to a nearby apartment and barricaded themselves inside. The attackers were eventually taken into custody, as eventually they all are when they engage in this kind of behavior. And both the illegal immigrant who was shot and the officer, sadly, are now in the hospital. We believe at this hour, neither has been discharged. DHS writing in a statement, quote, this attack on another brave member of law enforcement took place while Minnesota's top leaders, Governor Walz and Mayor Frey, are actively encouraging an organized resistance to ICE and federal law enforcement officers. Their hateful rhetoric and resistance against men and women who are simply trying to do their jobs must end. Despite the tension between local and federal officers, Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara spoke at a press conference last night and largely backed up DHS's account of the shooting. Watch.
At 6:51 p.m., Minneapolis police received a 911 call reporting a shooting on the 600 block of 24 Avenue North. Preliminary information indicates that there was a struggle with a federal agent in front of the resident. During the struggle, the federal agent discharged his weapon, striking 1 adult male. The adult male then retreated inside of the residence, where he remained inside and refused to come out. Eventually, federal agents made entry into the residence, and the individual was brought to an ambulance where he has been transported to the hospital. Minneapolis police have secured the crime scene around the location, and the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, as well as the FBI, are on the scene processing the evidence. I believe there's a broom and like a snow shovel that's on the scene. And yes, I have heard information that that some individual, at least one person, may have assaulted federal law enforcement. Yes.
Oh, you don't say. We might want to share that with the New York Times because they're not convinced. Publishing a story with the headline, Federal agent shoots immigrant in Minneapolis. Homeland Security says nothing about the fact that he was being attacked by that immigrant and two others. Zero mention that the suspect was an illegal immigrant. Just an immigrant, just like some random minding his own business immigrant, like could have been Elon Musk, just an immigrant. Nothing about him being an illegal, nothing about the shovel, nothing about the broom handle. And now today, this morning, look at this. The New York Times wasn't satisfied with its headline. It actually had to go back and edit it again. Did they add in broom handle? Did they add in shovel? Did they add in illegal? No, they took out the word immigrant. Now it's federal agent shoots man in Minneapolis, prompting tense protests. Just man. Like an American, it was an American, basically. It was just some random man minding his own business who got shot by the evil ICE. So now he's not an immigrant, let alone an illegal immigrant, let alone an illegal immigrant who was beating the cop with a shovel and a broomstick and had the help of two other illegals or witnesses. In the body of the story, it also takes issue with DHS's version of the events leading up to the shooting. Quote, the federal government's narrative could not be immediately verified. Hello, the police chief corroborated virtually all of it on camera. We just played part of it for you. Do a little work, New York Times, just a little bit of effort. By the way, not for nothing, but there's a viral clip online where Mayor Fry is talking about how, there are people in this town, he's sympathetic with them, the ones protesting ICE, who want the Minneapolis police to fight ICE on the ground. And you see this same police chief with his eyebrows go up to the ceiling. This is as high as mine can go, thanks to my Botox. But trust me, his went even higher. He got all sorts of lines that I'm not capable of getting anymore, thanks to all the poison in my forehead. But trust me, his eyes went up and there were lines. You could see the police chief was like, maybe we don't highlight that. And also, that's not an idea that will ever come to fruition. We will not be fighting ICE officers. You can see it in his face. So there's no local leadership. There's no leadership whatsoever to turn down the temperature. Last night or any other night in this thing, around 200 protesters, as a result, began gathering at the scene of, the poor man, quote, just man, being shot by the evil ICE officer, and began additional attacks on law enforcement, shooting fireworks at both the local and the federal cops, and reportedly throwing snowballs at immigration agents. Take a look at this video by independent journalist Nick Sorter of protesters attacking a federal vehicle and going for what could possibly go wrong, its weapons locker.
Hey, don't hit them!
And they got it. Great. And here's what the radicals had to say about what they pulled out of the federal vehicle.
One of the ICE agent vehicles got broken into, and I found this paperwork. It has a list with FBI operation info. It's got full names of FBI agents, phone numbers, emails. There's maps on where they're staying, where they're holding immigrants. There's hotel names in there. There's judge names. This paperwork has people's full names and their emails.
And she's showing it all on camera. By the way, they did appear to get the weapons out of the weapons locker. Here it is in SOT 13A. He's hammering at it.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Here's some bullets.
Hey, that's a 47.
Great. We saw the rifle. Now they're finding the ammo. and they start pulling law enforcement patches out of the container that was holding the weapons. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, a Democrat, spoke last night and tried to claim the moral high ground on this, okay? Suggesting like his messaging on all of this has been picture perfect. He's been the model of calm, sober leadership. But we're just going to do a little quick comparison between the comments he made last night versus those he made just days ago.
So the question was, there has been the accusation that local officials have perhaps taken up the temperature in Minneapolis. First, I'll say, show me a single place where I have encouraged anything other than peace. And I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis.
Oh, I guess that was just, he was asking for support for ICE there. So what about Minnesota Governor Tim Walz? Well, last night he was busy giving a special prime time address. He hasn't missed 1 minute of this. He's loving this. It's distracting from his allowance, at a minimum, of all the fraud happening in his state. This is a much better narrative for him. The evil ICE has invaded Minnesota and is harassing innocent victims. Those are lies, but he's telling them similar, different kind of fraud, frankly. So he's been all over the cameras. And last night he decided to hold a prime time address where things didn't go exactly as planned when he was speaking live. Check out the audio on this.
The federal government is raining down upon our communities. What's happening in Minnesota? 2,000 to 3,000 armed agents of the federal government have been deployed to Minnesota. Justice to the level armed, of chaos, masked, and undertrained ICE agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live. They're pulling over people,
I don't even know what's happening.
Including U.S. citizens.
Just for the viewers at home, this is what we can get out. This is what we call mix minus in our ears as anchors, when like you're doing a live hit in the field and you're saying tonight at Andrews Air Force Base, the following, and then like 3 seconds after you say it, you hear in your ear tonight at Andrews Air Force Base, and it's nearly impossible to do. If you ever see a reporter rip the earpiece out of his or her ear, that's what's happening to them. It seems to have happened somehow on the live audio feed, which is a new issue. I've never seen that happen. I don't know what it was, but it was a disaster. They eventually figured it out, and then they posted the proper remarks on YouTube. And when we could finally understand Governor Walz, we heard some of the most inflammatory rhetoric about the feds from a sitting governor since like the Civil War. Take a look.
What's happening in Minnesota right now defies belief. News reports simply don't do justice to the level of chaos and disruption and trauma the federal government is raining down upon our communities. 2,000 to 3,000 armed agents of the federal government have been deployed to Minnesota. Armed, masked, undertrained ICE agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live. They're pulling over people indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers. And at grocery stores, at bus stops, even at our schools, they're breaking windows, dragging pregnant women down the street, just plain grabbing Minnesotans and shoving them into unmarked vans, kidnapping innocent people with no warning and no due process. Let's be very, very clear. This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. Instead, it's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of Minnesota by our own federal government.
That is so incendiary. How insane is that? A new year means new financial goals like making sure your savings are secure and diversified. Will this be the year you decide to talk to someone from Birch Gold Group? They use an educational approach with a deep understanding of macroeconomics. There are forces pushing the dollar lower right now and gold higher, which is why they believe every American should own physical gold. So until January 30th, if you are a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, just text MK to 989898. Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you are still eligible for a rebate of up to $10,000. Consider making right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate of up to $10,000 when you buy by January 30th. Text MK to the number 989898 and claim your eligibility today. Again, just text MK to the number 989898 to check it out. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.